Okay, whatever. Power dynamics constantly surround us. But is it really in our nature to use and manipulate others for personal gain? Today, I will explore the extent to which we allow personal interests and greed to triumph over our moral compass. Simply put, when you first get access to power, you're more likely to prioritize other people's needs and act in a selfless way. However, as your power increases, you're more likely to behave with your own interests being the motivator and act in a more selfish way. Sometimes to a point where you don't need any more, yet you're still taking from others, surviving off the bare minimum. Professor Keltner of UC Berkeley states, "We rise in power and make a difference in the world due to what is best about human nature, but we fall from power due to what is worst." I'll begin by examining a time in history where these issues were especially evident. Raise your hand if you have heard about the 2008 financial crisis. This is a prime example of what we're talking about today, human nature in full form. For those who don't know, here's a brief summary. Nowadays, the average person borrows 70 to 80% of a house's worth, compared to before the crisis when it was 80 to 90%. Banks would give people 100% of the house's worth. They would only give these loans to people with lower credit scores, considering them less financially able. This system was seen by borrowers as a selfless act, making home ownership more accessible. However, it led to issues, as those borrowing more than the house's value simply didn't earn enough to pay back their mortgages. Overall, bankers and governments pressured financially unstable people into taking loans too high, driven by self-interest and greed. These mortgages were designed to fail so that bankers could earn off of them, essentially causing the major widespread economic disaster. Between October of 2008 and April of 2009, almost 5 million Americans lost their job. Furthermore, it took till 2014 for all the jobs lost during the recession to become employed again. The poverty rate had risen by a staggering 10% within just 2 years. And because the US holds such a substantial place in the global economy, these effects were not isolated in the US and had a global impact. This begs the question, who was held responsible for this event in which millions strayed from financial stability? The 2008 financial crisis saw no Wall Street CEOs, bankers, or government officials jailed. So, how does this connect to human nature? Well, when this crisis came, it came slowly, step by step, decision by decision, and these amounted together, causing an enormous spiral, illustrating the things that happen when people, especially powerful people, make decisions with self-interest being the motivator. As your blood pressure begins to increase, not to worry. Even though this historical event portrays the negative part of human nature, it also portrayed some positives. During times of crisis, people leaned onto their communities, families, and friends for support. Additionally, numerous nonprofit organizations such as Habit for America, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, and Feeding America provided a myriad of ways to support the tens of millions affected. It is interesting how in times of struggle, we tend to be more humble, caring, and selfless, but in times where all of our needs are met, power might take us away from our moral compass. Moreover, research has shown that individuals in positions of power or with the perception of having more power over others are more likely to prioritize their own interests and exhibit behaviors associated with self-interest and dominance. For example, an experiment was done at UC Berkeley by Professor Keltner called the Cookie Monster Study. Overall, 3 people were put into a group drafting a document about social issues. Randomly, one person was given a role of power. Afterwards, the 3 people were given 5 cookies. Surprisingly, the person with the most powerful role ate the most amount of cookies, chewing with an open mouth, crumbs everywhere, and lip smacking. This told the professors, Ward and Keltner, that if a person was in a higher power position, they were less likely to display empathy, making them a literal cookie monster, even after such a short period of high power. The same theory can be applied to, for example, politicians, except this time, instead of some cookies in half an hour, much more power is exerted upon them for years on end. And one might wonder, will they be able to make the best decision for everyone, or will they prioritize self-gain over the greater good? It is easy for us to sit in this room and judge all of these people for their decisions when we ourselves are not currently in a difficult situation. But when we are forced to make a decision, will we choose our own benefit at the expense of others, or do we choose to care and share for a person other than ourselves? Let me try to illustrate this point with a short experiment from the audience. May I please have one person here on stage? Let's give a hand to our brave volunteer. So, will you please share your name with the audience?
My name is Vesela. Vesela. It means to be joyful and cheerful in Bulgarian.
So, Vesi, you have 3 options. Your first option is to keep all of these chocolates, for yourself. Your second option, there's more, don't worry, is to give them all throughout the audience. And your final option is to keep one and give the rest to the audience. But before Vesi gives her answer, let's take a moment to reflect as an audience. Raise your hand if you would keep all of these chocolates. Raise your hand if you would give all of them away. And now raise your hand if you would keep one and give the rest to the audience. Wow. So, what's your choice?
Yes, I think number 3 is
Okay.
the best to keep one and give the other.
Thank you very much. Yes, you have to keep them. Oh no. Okay, thank you. So, now, imagine you were a powerful CEO, and instead of chocolates, this is thousands of dollars. And you know for the fact that the system you're in protects the powerful. Would you still choose to share? Never mind. Okay, well, don't feel bad if you would secretly keep all the chocolates for yourself. Evolutionarily, it makes sense. Humans are wired to prioritize their own survival and well-being. Our ancestors who focused on self-preservation were more likely to survive longer and pass on their genes. Furthermore, the way we think can be easily manipulated. The endowment effect leads people to assign a higher value to items they already own. And Vesi may feel a certain hesitation in giving them up as she feels a sense of ownership over them. However, social psychology also plays a significant role in shaping our decisions. Humans are social beings, and our behavior is heavily influenced by our expectations of our social groups. In situations like this, where there is social pressure, Vesi may want to conform to what she thinks the rest of the audience would do. Especially in AAS, when the phrase sharing is caring is the first value instilled upon us. In conclusion, it is crucial that all humans are aware of and consider our innate tendency to stray towards self-preservation, because awareness is power. Awareness gives us a choice, because every day you have power over someone and someone has power over you. Whether you're babysitting a 3-year-old, teaching in the classroom, or sitting in the audience thinking about how loud you will clap as I near the end of this talk. Choose to care about others, And to protect yourself from the negative part of human nature, use critical thinking and consider someone's interests when making a decision. On the other hand, if you're in power, try to be receptive to people's emotions with every decision you make. It is only through being united in caring for our families, our communities, and everyone around us that we can truly transcend this power game of survival and truly thrive together. But in the end, why would you listen to me about values and honesty? I scripted the entire chocolate experiment to get you to believe what I want. Thank you.